commend the Deputy Majority Leader for the presentation of the business statement. But, Mr. Speaker, there is a very urgent matter of national interest, which I thought would have found expression in the business statement for this House to address, particularly as that matter, Mr. Speaker, has been of concern to your good self. And Mr. Speaker, I'm referring to the ongoing picketing and demonstrations at the Buffer Stock Company Limited. Food suppliers across the country have besieged the place, and over the last 4 days running into the 5th day continuously, they have been at the mercy of the vagaries of the weather, sleeping rough. Mr. Speaker, last night the Honorable Minority Leader, and I have his permission to talk about that, he shared a video with me from the grounds, how the women were wailing, rolling on the floor. Mr. Speaker, I was so depressed. I went to bed last night really troubled, Mr. Speaker. I recall, Mr. Speaker, that only last year you paid a surprise visit to the Buffer Stock Company, specifically on the 23rd of June 2022. And Mr. Speaker himself warned. Mr. Speaker had foresight, he had vision. He warned that the situation was deteriorating, and the Speaker was not listened to. Now here we are, matters are totally out of control. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to you that the Honorable Minister for Education and the Honorable Minister for Agric should be programmed to appear before this House urgently. And possibly we should add the Minister for Finance, because we are hearing that the Minister for Education made a request for financial release and it has not been acceded to. So these 3 ministers, Mr. Speaker, they have to appear before us.
His call comes after some members of the Food Suppliers Association picketed the premises of National Food Buffer Stock Company (NAFCO) on Tuesday, demanding that monies owed them for over 2 years be paid in full. The suppliers, who traveled from all regions across the country, say their government owes them 217 million Ghana cedis for food supply to senior high schools across the country from 2021 to 2023. They say that until the government pays all their money, they will remain on the NAFCO grounds. Ranking member on Parliament's Education Committee, Peter Kwesi Nochikoto, lamented that a committee set up last year couldn't meet up until today. He noted that it's high time the committee meets to look into the matter, since they no longer supply aside them being owed.
Last year, you set up a committee involving education, Agric, health, and gender. A committee couldn't meet up to today, and I reminded you of the issue sometime. And I hope that, Mr. Speaker, this is a time again to take a second look at the committee, so that we see what we can, because they are being owed over 278 million Ghana cedis for 2 years. And the unfortunate thing also is that they have sidelined them. They no longer even supply the food to the senior high schools. So, Mr. Speaker, there is the need for Parliament to intervene on their behalf, so that government can pay them their money.
Responding to his colleagues' concerns raised, Deputy Majority Leader Afenyo-Markin explained that the needful is being done, hence there wouldn't be any need for a parliamentary inquiry to be made. He, however, gave this assurance.
Buffer stock issue. I had a good conversation with the Minister of Education. It is his ministry that does the payment through buffer stock. The indication he gives is that every effort is being made to deal with the situation, and that some of the vendors have been paid, and they are doing so in batches. So I believe that it's not a matter that would have to require a
parliamentary committee going to investigate. The issue is people are owed and they have to be paid. They've rendered services to the state. They have to be paid. And the minister indicates to me that some have been paid, not all, and that steps are being taken to do extensive validation of invoices presented. So I want to, on his behalf, take this opportunity to assure all creditors who are concerned, who are worried, that the ministry will pay them through buffer stock as an entity.
Deputy Minority Leader Emmanuel Amakofibwa beseeched that the August House take the matter seriously since it has to do with the education of Ghanaian children.
The issues of payment, the Deputy Majority Leader, while acknowledging that it was a very important concern, felt that there was no need for parliamentary intervention in terms of the question that was asked. And Mr. Speaker, I think it's very important to point out that this is very, very important. It goes beyond simply a payment by a group of suppliers. This has implication to our education and our children. And that is why it's important that we take interest in this matter. So I wanted to draw your attention to it.
The Right Honourable Speaker Alban Bagbin, who was presiding at that time, directed, saying,
Because I picked the information long ago, and that is why I did a surprise visit. Some people thought that I was taking away their functions. No. As the leader of this house, the head of the institution, it's important that I keep on drawing your attention as the representatives of the people, so that you can properly represent the interests of your constituents. Now, this is where we are now. And so I agree that the business committee should program for the 3 ministers to come before the House. The 3 ministers are the ministers for finance, food and agric, and education, to tell us why the challenge. We'll be able to assist the executive to solve some of these problems. That is why we are establishing the Committee on Ways and Means.